keep my gun. Try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee, maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm gonna keep my big VA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need, we know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas, and hold on just a second here. Hold on just a second. Okay, we're trying to All right. We've got a problem here. Hang on a minute. Let me try to find it. David, I don't know what's happening here with you. Are you with me, David?
No.
Okay. David, I guess I'm gonna have to call you back on your landline, I guess. I got tremendous feedback.
So,
are you there?
yep, I'm here now.
Okay, let me get that volume cranked up a little bit.
Great.
And,
We're experiencing a little bit of problems out here too,
I had trouble getting on Blog Talk Radio. I had problems getting on a lot of places. But, how are you? David Kaas is my guest today, and you are listening to the Free American Hour, and we are recording in multiple locations. Let me see one thing here. Let me try one thing. Let me see if I can get my Truth Radio back up, because that didn't go through, and that could have been some other thing here. Let's try it real quick. See if we hook up. If we don't hear any other commercials on there, we should be live. We're not running too far behind.
Yeah, that's clarified. Problems I shared the letter with Greg this morning as well.
Nope. We ain't gonna make that. All right. Sorry about Truth Radio. David Kaas, the author of I'm Doing Well. He's the author of Farm Physics. And you like to run for president?
Yes, indeed.
How's that going? What's happening with that?
Well, I'm just sent my formal application to the nationofchange.org. They are a website that's currently putting out a lot of this information about what's really going on in the world at large. And they've just come online with 50 candidates in all states. They are now registered with the Electoral College, and they are seeking a candidate to run for president. So I sent them 3 copies of my book, and as I said, about a 4 or 5 page summary of my campaign proposal for this fall. And we'll have to see what they say. I just sent it last week. But I've been working the channels and circulating the information the best I can over the internet, on Facebook and on YouTube. And it's really amazing nowadays how many people you can actually get to just from your own front room.
You know, I've been thinking about that, and 21 years ago, Isaac Asimov, science fiction writer, he predicted the internet. He predicted we'd be able to talk to people all over the world sitting here in our living room just like we're doing right now.
Exactly. And I think people nowadays are starting to listen to the science fiction writers and starting to listen to the people that, you know, everyone used to just kind of laugh at 20 years ago. People are starting to listen to them now. There's all these experts and all these scientists and all these doctors and all these people who are considered so intelligent. Actually, they aren't so intelligent. They just know what they know, and that's it. They can't actually fix anything for themselves. They study one subject and they become very proficient at that.
Many years ago, David, in school, there were maybe half a dozen kids that scored a little higher in their grade point average, and you know, I consider they might have been smarter than me, but there was something lacking. They memorized really well, but they had no logical thinking skills. And schools don't teach that. I'm sorry, they don't teach that.
No, they don't at all. In fact, they try to make the child not think for himself, not be an independent type of consideration. And this is something that's all got to change in the next couple of years. And we can change it as a country. We can change it then as a world. We can change all these things that are so negative about our own existences here. I would like to see a new world come to be in just the next year or two. But we have to see. We don't know what the majority of the group is going to say when passed this fall, this November, in the election. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be the biggest party we've ever thrown.
Well, I certainly agree with that. In the article I've just been working on, I just said that. I said that, the top of my article is I say here that this is the beginnings, the legends of Lucifer, the fiction of Clay Douglas, and I ask, is truth stranger than fiction? And is this the real reason we are ramping up for war with Iran? That headline jumped out at me out of my computer this morning. I just sent out my last article, which I told you I was pretty disgusted with the infiltrated, compromised patriot movement. I swore I was going back to my roots and my first love, science fiction. And it shook me a little. Because, David, and you've got, it's available here, that I had written about a spacecraft, a ship, exactly like the one that is described as being created by an Iranian nuclear engineer by the name of Kishi. Now, that's Easter. Does Iran have a space program more advanced than NASA?
I don't know that we have all that much of a space program, so to speak. I think what we've been allowed is to have it developed to a certain point. But the Intergalactic Federation of Planets, which is now right outside our world here, have been in communication with me this last week, and they've told me that they are now acting positively in our favor because the time is right. Now, what NASA has and what they've developed isn't really space worthy of like I say, the Council of Federation of Planets, but they do have some devices and some things which can get around a little ways. But this news that I just got yesterday, Clayton, that I sent you a copy of about Iran developing this energy project, Ron Kesh, a gentleman that spent time out of his country studying, is a nuclear physicist, and he supposedly has developed a cold fusion reactor that you can generate your own electricity with. And by cold fusion, it has no parts like the energy rods from the nuclear reactors that you have to sit and let decay for 1 million years or more. You can't go near them. This cold fusion reactor actually has no parts like that from it. So this is the greatest discovery of the 21st century, if it's real. And this is why the UN, the United States, and everyone else that has any kind of military power is coming down on Iran. They came down on Libya, Syria, because these countries aren't figured in on the international dollar bill. They only sell oil. They don't have to pay any price for their money or anything else that they've got. So they have developed, like I said, a cold fusion reactor, and it's working right now. And so that's what the whole point of contention is, why we're going in there and trying to take them over.
Okay, this reactor that he's built is capable of flying a spaceship. Let me share with you what they're talking about, folks. It will allow the craft to reach extremely fast speeds that would allow for rapid travel through the solar system and beyond. A round trip to Mars with a stop at the moon could take a few days. Deflector fields that can destroy tiny particles could impact and destroy a vehicle traveling at high speed. Friction removal, so there's no effect from environmental friction as the vehicle travels through the atmosphere. Inertial dampening, so the occupants of the craft would not feel accelerations. Force fields that can block space radiation. Artificial gravity, so the occupants would be able to live, work, just like they do on Earth, without having to worry about the effects of weightlessness on their body. Invisibility or cloaking technology. Replicators, or the ability to turn energy into food and water. And what they're talking about there, folks, is work on a nano scale. And we are reaching that technologically plateau. And healing technology to address injuries or sicknesses that might arise. And what this means, folks, is that they could do more than just manipulate gravity for propulsion. They could also produce force fields, emit tractor beams, generate unlimited amounts of clean energy, and have inertial dampening systems that allow occupants to avoid feeling accelerations. Now, David, to me, what jumps out at me here, because I wrote about this craft and this ability about a race of people that could travel through outer space and use this technology to move stones weighing tons.
Yep.
That allowed them to place those stones with tractor beams. I wrote about this ship, this ability, this technology 40 years ago, David, and it takes place in its setting is 10,000 years in the past, before our recorded history.
Now, I think there's some of us here today in the bodies that have chosen to come here in this incarnation that we're in, and chosen for a very good reason. That's to save the entire planet's civilization, to save it from utter ruin in the next couple of years. So that's what we're doing here, and that's, Clayton, that's why you've had all these thoughts all your life and always wondered these things and couldn't talk to anybody about them, because there's just a few of us here. Not a lot of us. I
mean, as a child, before Eric von Däniken came out with his Chariot of the Gods, I envisioned, people in UFOs, in spaceships, parting Red Seas, transporting people, lifting people up to heaven. And now here's the question. Now, and you know, I've been this is really opportune. You know, I was just reading again about a woman I had on my show before, Glenda Green, who says that Jesus came into her living room and introduced himself and talked to her for a few hours, and she wrote a book about that. And something has been influencing me, I felt, my whole life. What I did, what I read, and all that in the beginning. I mean, I read every science fiction book. I read Isaac Asimov, you know, Robert A. Heinlein, Edgar Rice Burroughs, H.G. Wells, before I was 14 years old. So I think by that education that was almost, you know, forced on me, I wasn't allowed to go outside and exercise because I was such a frail child, you know. These things that and in the last 20 years, strangers have walked up and handed me top secret documents. You know, people have approached and tried to kill me a few times. I'm just an old biker from Texas. Why would I be generating that kind of thing? And is it because back in the past sometime I wrote these stories down that I am now going to put out in the future with, you know, being edited by 40 years of experience?
Well, I think we all have to do our part. That's what it's coming down to in this age I'm at now, 55. And I kind of feel this for all of us that are here in this small group to do this big thing. We've all got to get serious now. We've had enough sex, drugs, and rock and roll for a while, and not that we're not going to have a lot more, but we've got to get our sleeves rolled up and get our hands dirty now. So I think it's kind of important that we all get on the same page, and it's also kind of important that we leave a lot of this stuff that has happened way in the past, like with Hitler and with the Roman days and, you know, the Huns coming in and taking over. All this stuff is all real important, but it's not important for the moment. What we've got to start discussing is what we're going to do and how we're going to do this take back of our government, the clean out of our system, and the reestablishment of the old rules, which is everyone has got to look at each other like a brother and a sister, and we've got to start doing what's fair here. And none of this, I'll pay you to do something for me and don't tell anybody about it. That's the wrong way to do it. What do you think, Clayton?
I think we've got to develop. Now, one of the things, hang on a second. Come in.
I hear
the guard dog. All right, let him live, boys. Let him live. He's okay. It's okay. He can come in.
They sound like they might have got a hold of somebody there and turn them up.
Just my neighbor. The Packy demands that he pet him. You know.
Watch your ankles.
Now,
but my book that I've got out, it's not new anymore. It's been out for a little over a year. It's called Farm Physics and Nuclear and More. It's available on PublishAmerica.com, and it's also available on Amazon. There's several different sites that are carrying it at many different prices, so it just depends on where you get it. But I got the book out. I've got my campaign proposals into nationofchange.org, and I kind of feel good about everything we've been doing so far, Clayton. I know we don't have a lot of results, and we certainly don't have a pot to piss in yet, but we're making headway. We're making headway, and I think we're on the right track. Everything seems to be going our direction.
Well, let me touch on something else here. Now, I've said that I don't believe that God stopped talking to us 2,000 years ago when the Old Testament ended. I don't believe that was the end of God talking to us.
Oh no.
And you know, and I don't care what your conception of God is. I don't, you know, personally, I don't think a omniscient, omnipotent deity gives a shit what you call him. You know.
Yeah.
I just don't think he cares. I don't think that's important to him. I think what's important is that we all have a direct link to our Creator. Let's see, they got a name for that something. I think it's called a soul, don't you think?
Yep.
Or you could call it a conscience. You could call it whatsoever. But the God, somebody gave these words of wisdom that are included in our Bible in a somewhat historical narration. Now we don't know where the history and where the fiction stops there, do we? I mean, you can say, and you can fall into the dogma, and you can say, well, Paul was Jesus' apostle. Paul was no, and I can say no. Paul was actually named Saul, and he was one of the Pharisees that Jesus was railing against. Maybe he just fell off his donkey when he hit him. He didn't have to kill all these Christians. He could take over Christianity. Nobody knows because we weren't there. We weren't there. So, which one of those segments are true, and how much of that has happened in our Bible? And if this omniscient, omnipotent deity that is behind everything we do is what we think he is, and I personally think he's what holds the atoms together. It's like maybe he's talking to us right now through this internet that we're using right now to allow us to reach a few million people out there that we might not have reached otherwise. Suddenly, that's just happened within the last 20 years. It was science fiction when Isaac Asimov wrote about it 21 years ago, and that link is up on my site. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of things are true that most people don't believe yet. I think we have the ability to do a lot of things that most people just kind of, they won't believe it till they see it, they tell me. They go, until you put it in my hands or pull it up here at my door, I don't believe it. And I go, well, I'm sorry for you then. You just don't believe anything. And these are people that are kind of, you know, a little bit older like we are, but it's almost like you can't get them to, you know, drink the new information in. And that's okay, you know. After a while, I just figure, all right. The people we need to start speaking to is the young voters, the 19 to age 30. Those are the group that are our biggest share. And if we can convince them and get them on our side of the road, I think we can sweep this next election. So this is what we're going to be shooting at.
Now there's a couple of classes of people out there that number in the multi-millions, David. And no political candidate, with the possible exception of Ron Paul, will even address them.
Right. That's
and
exactly right.
That
because they don't have anything new to offer.
That segment of the population, a lot of them are young people. A lot of them are old folks like me that went through the 60s, and we were right in the 60s. We stopped the war. You know, we smoked we smoked some of the best bud out there, and we stopped the war. We made a difference. And then, of course, the bad guys move in. You know, the students for the Democratic Society that want to blow shit up. They moved in just like they moved in on the Tea Parties. Now the Tea Parties, we started out with a good thing. Well, they want to go bomb Iran, and the technology we're talking about is the reason they want to bomb Iran, I believe.
Well, there's a few different reasons, I think, and some of them I don't even know. But all this killing and all these wars and all this violence and all these bad things that are going on, I've always wondered in my own mind, what is the cause of it? When is it going to stop? And what can I do about it? And to tell you the truth, Clay, it came to me about 25 years ago, and I've been on the same path that you're on ever since, because it just seems to me like it's the only thing that could make a difference in my life, in my children's lives, in their children's lives, in everyone's life, is if we can somehow or another just make things work the way they're supposed to work. It's so amazing to me that we can have all these assets in this world that we have. We can have all this beautiful ground and lush fields, and we used to have clean water everywhere. And nowadays it's all gone to hell in a handbag. So it's like, how is all this happening? Well, I believe that, truly believe that the demons or the devils or whatever have been cast down here to this planet right at the moment. And they're making everything as bad as it is. They're trying to ruin everything for us. And that is where...
I wrote a poem about that. I wrote a poem about that about 40 years ago, David. You know, God stay, I say, I pray, show us a way so in the hells our souls won't burn. Your God doesn't care, my burden he doesn't share, yet still of me you say beware. Of hell you shouldn't care, you can't go, 'cause you are there, and you stay till you pay, as I said before, you stay as men, not more.
Indeed, indeed. I just feel as though, you know, they say you're not supposed to throw stones. Well, I believe that. And but I believe also that we need to speak out and point a finger, at least, at the bad guys, and then let them have it, so to speak. But
well, we do. You know, listen, I have, in doing 25 years of radio, having numerous presidential candidates on my show, I have never advocated killing anybody, hurting anybody, because you know it's all provided in there. I mean, it taught the story of the tares and the wheat. You're gonna shoot this girl because she's working for AT&T? No, you know, we don't do that. We don't kill. And if we go out wanting to kill all the blacks, kill all the Jews, kill all the Mexicans, then we are no better than the evils that we are fighting. The problem is we got to fight. We're trying to fight evil without becoming evil.
Right. Well, another interesting point that I wanted to make was I've listened to a lot of the candidates, and I've heard a lot of the talk going around between the Republicans and Democrats. Not one of them, not a single one of them, has a new tax reform plan, and none of them is talking about any way to get our housing industry out of the slump it's in. How to get the people back in the houses and make everything affordable again. Now that in itself is very interesting, because those are two big problems here. So why aren't our two parties even concerned with the big problems that we're facing?
Because it's divide and conquer. The same people are financing and controlling both parties. They don't care who wins or loses, because we keep nothing changes. The banks stay in control.
Right. Well,
the bad guys are the banks. It ain't the people working for the banks. It's the banks itself. It's the whole system. And our whole government was set up to prevent that type of control. They saw what happened to England. They saw what the wars that they had there, and they made more.
Right. Well,
now,
under my proposal to the nationofchange.org, I have personally met the man that is responsible for Fishman's Framework for Tax Reform, and it's now listed at SeriousTaxReform.com. I've got that on your chat board screen, and what it is a new tax plan which puts our Social Security, our health care first and foremost, and it also provides free education